I was reminded of the quote from Confucius that says, "I hear and I forget, I see and I believe, I do and I understand." And what you see very clearly in the impact the project has on Laura and Melanie, but also I suspect on a lot of the students in this room, in fact, maybe all of them, is the fact of really understanding something at a deeper level. And I'm pretty certain if you check back with these students 20, 30, and 40 years from now, there's a lot they won't remember from their college education. I'll wager money they will remember this experience because it's an experience where they were applying their knowledge, doing things, and making an impact.
About 6 years ago, Neil Mayerson, who is the president of the Mayerson Foundation, and I began this set of conversations, and we were really getting acquainted. And one thing led to another, and we began to talk about how a university and a foundation like the Mayerson Foundation that has the same kinds of values could collaborate in support of citizenship, supporting the nonprofit sector, and all the other things that I just mentioned. And what that led to was a gift on the part of the Mayerson Foundation that would allow us to experiment with the development of student philanthropy on our campus, making it possible for students in the process of pursuing their education to essentially have access to an amount of money that they could invest in the community.
When we first started the Mayerson project, I heard someone mention the Mockbee as being a worthy cause. And I have to admit, up until this point, I hadn't heard the Mockbee. I had no idea what they were talking about. Then I found out it was an art gallery, and immediately I had images of marble floors and 30-foot ceilings. How can an art gallery really need any additional money? The more I learned about this nonprofit organization, the more I became intrigued with it. Carissa Bernard came to our class and showed us slides of the building. And she talked about what they were going to use the money for. They didn't have marble floors. They didn't have 30-foot ceilings, except where there's a hole in the second floor. But I realized why everyone fell in love with it. And it's a beautiful space, and it's dedicated to a beautiful cause. And I'm really pleased to be able to give them this donation of $2,000 so that they can work on the building and keep it up and running. And they're so dedicated, and it's just incredible.
You don't realize what such small groups can do with such just a little bit of money, and what such a huge effect you can get from it.
The Mayerson project really spoke to me because when I went out in the field to interview a local elementary school, what they told me kind of took me back because they told me it's not the money. We don't want the money, you know, or well, we'd like to have the money. But it's really, we want a mentor.
This particular money, this check of $1,160, is going towards a program called Crafts with Conviction. It's a program where prisoners from prisons all around this area and surrounding areas, they actually make flashcards, math toys, math games for the students in the classroom. When I watched the video on this program, I almost cried. I was so impressed that, I mean, you see this big burly man who committed who knows what crime in tears because he just got a letter from an 8-year-old kid saying how excited he is that he made a difference in his life.
Can't say I've ever done any nonprofit work before, and I think this will be a continued endeavor in my lifetime.
Last semester, as I was scheduling my classes, I came across a special topics English class on poverty. Living right across from the river my whole life, I had heard issues pertaining to this subject more often than not on the news. So I thought, poverty in my community. Poor people living on the streets of Cincinnati, begging for change from people passing by. The Mayerson Project has opened my eyes and let me know just how wrong I was, and I thank them for it.
I often have an opportunity to talk about this program, and whenever I do, I mention one of its unusual characteristics, unusual compared to most other programs that involve money, and that is that this program uses the money twice. It uses the money once to enrich the learning of our students, and it uses the money a second time to benefit the agencies in the community.
It's not just a privilege for all of you to be engaged with us, it's also a privilege for us to be engaged with you. This process has been so eye-opening for me. The work that the students are doing and the level of commitment that they show when they're investigating each of the organizations they're thinking about funding. We are just thrilled to receive this money.
$1,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money to some people, but to a nonprofit organization, we can definitely stretch it.
We really try to alter the life of boys and girls who are in a dysfunctional or poverty-stricken home by providing them home-like atmosphere and, most of all, an opportunity for education and a future.
When you have clay out on the table and they know that they're going to be like playing and getting their hands dirty and getting filthy and you, I mean, like that's when you see that look in their eye. And when that happens, you can tell a student's really enjoying themselves, and when they enjoy themselves, they're going to learn a lot more and remember a lot more just by that experience. So with this money, we're going to pick up some clay materials, extra clay, boxes of clay, and hopefully a new kiln, and hopefully see a lot more of those eyes brighten up.
The Mary Magdalene House, we've been in operation. We just celebrated our 16th anniversary this year. We would describe ourselves as an oasis of hospitality. And I think people who don't have a dime, we would like to have them leave our place feeling like $1 million. So we'd like to thank you again.
I mentioned to my Board of Trustees on Wednesday when I mentioned this, that we'd receiving this award, that the best part in my mind, in addition to the funding, was meeting a young person that had a real interest and passion for seniors. I think you can tell that Rose had that.
Specifically, this money will fund scholarships for young women in Cincinnati and the surrounding areas to enjoy some of our week-long programs that we offer during the summer, where young women as young as entering grade 4 and as old as college can come in and write with us for a week.
I want to go on to say that I'm also very honored to be included with so incredibly incredibly worthy organizations. So thank you all very much.
We take children who have fallen victim to sexual abuse and many other things that might happen to children, and we use animals to rehabilitate them and to keep that compassion alive in them. I would like to thank the Mayerson Foundation and Scripps Howard and Northern Kentucky University, along with the many people that I met during this project.
What is it worth to touch someone or to be touched? And how do you measure the value of time, of love, of the simplest gesture that can alter the course of somebody's life? These are profound questions. And to answer these, one must delve deeply into philanthropy. And that is what the students in this class did.